How did I not know this video existed? This has gone well under my radar for a while now. And I just found out about it a couple days ago and absolutely have to cover it. This is from about 2 years ago, I believe, when the the US Afghanistan pullout game was happening, and the good old pullout was going on, and there was a lot of discourse around that. She put out a video, I shit you not, titled as follows: Taliban memes reject progressivism. They do not want your values. And the thumbnail. Oh, hold on. Can I bring up the thumbnail? Is there a way where I guess I can't just bring up the thumbnail on its own, but I can just show it to you like this. Look at the thumbnail. Meme warfare. And it's like, I guess the Taliban guy is depicted as being a Chad, and the American is depicted as being a gay crying soy jack with a gay hat or whatever. Like, is Lauren Chen now a Taliban stan? Is that what's going on right now? Is that what's happening? Is that the timeline we're in? I think that's the timeline we're in. Holy shit. Okay, let's take a look at this. It's 15 minutes. Let's see how much of this I can stand.
Lauren here. Let's talk about some dank Taliban memes. And
oh, really, guys? That's how we're starting. This is going to be a tough one, guys. This is going to be a really tough one.
If you happen to have that phrase on your 2021 Crazy Things bingo scorecard, then congratulations, I guess. But as we all know by now, the Americans have withdrawn from Afghanistan, minus, some American citizens and service dogs. But hey, you can't really blame the administration, all right? China needed to get started on that one road project. So, of course, Beijing Biden had to oblige. And now that the
Beijing Biden, Jesus Christ. This is 2 years ago, back when the narrative was that Biden pulled us out of Afghanistan too quickly, I guess. God, I hate her so much. Yeah. It's really funny going back to like a 2-year-old conservative video and seeing how quickly the narrative becomes outdated to their talking points today. Like, if she released this video today with these talking points about the people she's talking about today, people would be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because it's not, this is so far from in lockstep with the current narrative and the current, list of talking points. Like, it's really crazy how much they just kind of expend through ideas, beliefs, and talking points and rhetoric just to keep everything new and fresh looking. Didn't you criticize Biden leaving Afghanistan? I did, yes, but that was Trump. Remember, she criticized it. She defended it when it was Trump pulling out. I criticized it when it was Trump pulling out, and I criticized it when it was Biden pulling out. The entire time I criticized it. She only started, and the right only started criticizing it when the administration switched out and Biden carried through Trump's plans to pull out of Afghanistan.
Americans are gone, I feel like.
It was great and based when Trump was doing it, but then when Biden was doing it, it was bad to these people. I think it was always bad that we pulled out of Afghanistan the way we did. In fact, if you look at the polling of the people of Afghanistan, especially women, especially younger women, they did not want America leaving until peace deals had been made with the Taliban. That meant the Taliban agreed not to do the things the Taliban did as soon as they took power, such as not allowing women to go to school, work, or own businesses, and, all the other shit that they had their rights taken away from for. The people of Afghanistan did not want us to leave because they knew the alternative was the Taliban, and thid grown quite accustomed to, 15, 22 years, it was, I think, 22 years of fairly progressive values being the norm. That had become a pretty comfortable thing for people. Can confirm what Zan's saying. Just watched the video very recently. Oh, you rewatched my my Taliban Afghanistan video? Yeah, it's crazy how much hate that got. I usually do get a lot of hate for being totally correct, right? Like, the current one is going to be the Keffals thing, like me burning the bridge with Keffals, but I think, Muda, Some Ordinary Gamers, is about to make his, super Keffals video that everyone's super hyped for, and I think that's gonna probably make a lot of people move their position on her, assuming they watch it. I'm excited for that video. That'll be hype.
Like the Taliban, who is very quickly consolidating power in Afghanistan, is kind of free to come out of the woodwork, and they are now openly posting on social media because...
Yeah, that polling was definitely real. I think Dylan Burns was the one that showed it to me as well. Let me see if I can find it. What's the dislike ratio on this? 600 likes with 10,000 views. Has 500 dislikes, apparently. Whew. I like how the top comment now is, this went from the hot take 3 months ago to the coldest take in the universe now. Not the Tankies, though. Tankies still try to push that I'm in the wrong for this. Let me see if I can find the bit where I show the polling. I must have stun locked when getting it and it got cut out. Fuck. I can kind of understand why people went after me so hard for this video if I didn't show the polling. In that case, if the polling bit, like where I show the polls of what people in Afghanistan actually wanted from this, if that got cut out of the video, I can understand why people got mad. I'm lost. Why are we watching a 2-year-old Lauren Chen video? What? Have you not followed my recent uploads? For those that don't know, YouTube is now endorsing the Taliban. YouTube now fully endorses the Taliban, like unironically. YouTube has given verified status and sent golden and silver play buttons to several official Taliban Afghanistan and Kabul-based YouTube channels. They are run and funded by the Taliban. They are given their talking points and their, like, everything by the Taliban. You guys don't know about this. I covered this recently in my video, The Taliban Are Taking Over YouTube. Hold on. The Taliban-run government is fostering a thriving community of YouTube influencers and video bloggers in Afghanistan seeking to shape a positive narrative of the country by rewarding those who have welcome viewpoints with access to stories that can draw millions to views online. The Taliban, which smashed televisions and burned films in the 1990s during its first stint in power, is now using modern video technology in its radical campaign to remake Afghanistan. The regime grants influencers coveted broadcasting license that put them on an equal footing with TV networks and radio stations, and threatens to withdraw the license of those who break official rules. Influencers whose work is seen as benefiting the regime have been allowed to embed with the government ministries and showcase their achievements. They are part of the government. They are government employees. Here's a picture of one of them, by the way, in his Kabul-based, like, penthouse apartment, where he has, I think, 100,000 subs, is getting paid. Yeah, here it is. Kabul lovers, 100,000 subs. This is a Taliban member, employed by the Taliban, a member of the Taliban, effectively, just part of their social media division, who, yes, he does look like he owns NFTs. Yes, he does. He absolutely does. And then, of course, YouTube has endorsed him and many other channels like this by giving them silver play buttons. And every silver play button comes with a letter reminder signed by the CEO of YouTube. The same goes for that one channel we covered, the Offensive T-Slur, that also has a silver play button, where the CEO of YouTube would have had to sign a document saying, "Congratulations, the Offensive T-Slur," except it doesn't say T-Slur, it just says the slur, like outright, on hitting 100,000 subs. And then they have to go on and continue to pretend like they give a shit about, like, gay people when Pride Month happens with their, like, Pride YouTube logo. Anyway, that is why I'm talking about this 2-year-old Lauren Chen video, is because right now it's a little bit more relevant because the Taliban is, like, actually trying to take over YouTube and is being endorsed by YouTube. There's really no other way to describe YouTube giving them a silver play button than YouTube has fully endorsed them. The CEO wrote them a signed letter to congratulate them. It's like if a black person made a channel calling themselves the offensive N-word. Yes, it is exactly like that. And if YouTube endorsed it, it is exactly the same. Yes.
Yeah, Trump can't be on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter because he's just too dangerous. But literal Taliban accounts, sure. Welcome aboard, I guess. So I am following some of these Taliban accounts on social media. Not that I support them in any way, of course not. And Liam did tell me when I told him about this video idea that I had to be careful. And it's like, how crazy is it that I could be banned for talking about what the Taliban is posting on social media? But again, the Taliban is still on social media. It makes no sense. But anyway,
no, okay.
It's been kind of an interesting look.
All right, wait, okay. No, she's making a decent point here then. Okay. Wait. YouTube completely endorses the Taliban, as does Twitter, as do all these other social media sites that are allowing them to exist and allowing them to make a ton of money by like making propaganda accounts on their sites. And you're about to like glorify them with memes. Also, meanwhile, like lefty channels left and right are getting demonetized, striked, and repressed in the algorithm. Conservative political content has basically always been the top dog of YouTube. Even when the left is like in a good place online, right-wing content is still doing way better, like in total. And so it just seems so funny to me that these people still play the victim card about these platforms being like antagonistic towards their politics. Like when? Since when? When was the last time a big conservative account got censored or banned? The last person I can think of was when Steven Crowder got demonetized for the what's it called? The minstrel show bit he did, where he was like drowning the white woman doll and pretending to be like an Asian man or whatever. I forget like what the whole thing was, and he's like doing like he's got like fake buck teeth. It's really bad. And then Ben Shapiro actually confirmed. This is a funny thing too. Ben Shapiro confirmed that he has a direct line with the CEO of YouTube, or at least he did when it was Susan Wojcicki. When Steven Crowder got demonetized for that, 3 days later, Ben Shapiro called Susan Wojcicki, quote unquote, like gave her his mind, or gave her a piece of his mind, and she relented. And a couple days later, Steven Crowder was remonetized and received no further penalties for his like severe breaking of YouTube TOS, because apparently big YouTubers like Ben Shapiro, not like PewDiePie or Markiplier somehow, but Ben Shapiro have a direct phone call line to the personal cell phone of the YouTube CEO. That was an interesting story. Meanwhile, did you guys know that fucking Dylan Burns had to make a whole new YouTube channel because YouTube fully demonetized him and rejects every request to get remonetized, a full false strike or a false demonetization because apparently he supports terrorism? He doesn't, but YouTube says he does and refuses to hear anyone say he doesn't. They've doubled down like 100 times now at this point. He had to make a whole new channel to make money off of YouTube again.
Look into that world, because for the longest time, obviously, since they were actively fighting the Americans, they had to remain hidden. They couldn't be posting about their whereabouts. But now, at least looking at this,
yeah, Chainsaw Chimera, Ben Shapiro told that story about Crowder when talking about all that. Yeah,
one account we're going to be going over today, they're just posting selfies, hanging out. Look at this one here, hashtag new profile pic. Also posting some actually really nice shots of Afghanistan. Beautiful country. I had no idea. And as interesting, I guess, as it is seeing the more...
You had no idea Afghanistan is pretty? It's part of the Middle East. It's one of the like most old parts of the world that's been inhabited by humans. It's full of ruins and like temples and like castles and shit. Like, what are you talking about? Like, even outside of the nature and whatnot, like, you're telling me a country that's had people in it for like hundreds of thousands of years isn't going to be pretty and full of like ruins and temples and cool like ancient buildings? Like, that's just something you don't get in America or Canada. We don't have ruins of like thousands or hundreds of thousands year old buildings here. You go to the Middle East and everywhere you're tripping over ruins of 1,000-year-old buildings, dude.
Personal side of the Taliban, what I wanted to talk about today is their weaponization of memes for propaganda. Because, yeah, there are now Taliban memes on places like Twitter. And, guys, they're actually pretty good. Like, the Taliban...
It's just going to be because they agree with her, right? She's just going to say that the Taliban memes are good because they're anti-woke, right? And she's not going to, like, think for even a second, why does the fucking Taliban agree with her politics? She's not going to think about that. Instead, it's going to be, wow, even the Taliban knows the woke is bad. I bet that's going to be the route she takes with this.
Taliban have only been on social media for a short while, at least officially, and they're already just blowing leftists out of the water with their meme skills. I think these memes...
So right now, it's so funny watching this because right now the narrative from conservatives is that the leftists are the terrorists that are like supporting the Taliban, the Houthis, the fucking Hamas and everything. So you would never hear them say this today, right? Because like right now, leftists are the Taliban, leftists are Hamas, leftists are the Houthis or whatever, leftists are terrorists. So like, it's just funny looking back, you know? The Taliban is blowing leftists, gay, woke. True.
Are worth going over. Of course, keeping in mind that, they are part of a propaganda campaign and everything the Taliban says should be taken with a grain of salt.
I mean, you're falling for it. The complimenting of the propaganda campaign, unironically, is falling for the propaganda regardless. So you agree with the propaganda already. You've already fallen to Taliban propaganda in a different form. I just realized, is this rude to point out, but like, has she had a nose job or something? Because I'm just now noticing her nose looks really weird to me. Like, I can't stop looking at her nose now. There's something about it that just looks wrong to me. Has she had like not a septoplasty, a rhinoplasty?
Because they are the Taliban. But for literally decades, everything or most of the things that we know about the average Taliban member and their beliefs and their motivations has come filtered through the lens of, American foreign intelligence and also the media, which let's not even pretend that they have no interest in protecting American foreign intelligence or the military industrial complex. And anytime I am vocal.
My favorite thing about conservative politics is how often they say nothing of any real, like the rhetoric is oftentimes, if they are talented rhetorician, it's oftentimes nothing. Like 80% of it is almost bipartisan filler. Like this, like, oh yeah, the media wants to protect the status quo, like weird lines like this that no one on the left or right disagrees with as filler, and then they hit you with some like out there conservative claim wrapped up in all that like unobjectionable filler, and people think, oh, eventually hearing all that side by side starts to make it sound like that idea, that conservative jump in logic is actually not so much of a jump in logic, maybe even just common sense.
Vocal about my criticisms of American foreign occupation of places like Afghanistan or previously Iraq. What I've noticed is that,
mind you, the only reason conservatives are against these things is because it involves like helping people fight against country. Like conservatives, ironically enough, since like Bush, it seems, not even since Bush, but especially since Trump, align more with the enemies of America more than they align with like America itself and its best interests. So like the Republican Party right now is like super tight with Russia, for example, which I wouldn't exactly say is like the not exactly the best way to to make our country do well. Like they're hanging out with Russia. They're tight with Russia. Russia's not really friendly with us. And now it's like China. Now it's this weird like enemy, but they're also like blowing off China, but then also Trump wants to be friendly with China because he can be friendly with China in the right way, but Biden can't be friendly with China in the right way. It's this really weird, bizarre, like glorification of our enemy the Republicans like to do. Or not necessarily our enemy, but adversarial nations. And so from my perspective, it just seems like the only goal here is just glorify whatever group is anti-America and to say, look how much better they're doing than us. The left is causing us to be weak right now, even if it's completely made up. I really love the videos that conservatives will share of these like weird airsoft armor kits that like the Russian government will show off and say, look at our new hyper advanced cloaking bulletproof power armor we're making. And they've like shown these off for like 2 decades now, never once shown on the field. It's just not a real thing. It's just part of their propaganda. They'll put out some like black and white tough guy Russian military recruitment ad, and they'll fall for the propaganda hook, line, and sinker. It's really weird to see that like more so than any socialist these days, it's the like GOP conservative Tucker Carlson watching Republicans that are more likely to put on a Ushanka and like march around the streets with a Russian flag. Way more so than any lefty these days, it seems.
a lot of Westerners, not just Americans, but a lot of Westerners in general, seem to think that the gripe the Taliban has with America is sort of a they hate us because they ain't us thing. Like, they're just jealous of all the freedom and prosperity we have. Also, they're just crazy because Islam, therefore they attack us. And don't get me wrong, yes.
Oh, yeah, this was the start of the red pill era of, like, conservatives getting really big on the Islam train. I know this woman's a Christian, so I don't know if she did that, but I know that, like, the red pill stuff is more of a fake Islam movement than it is a Christian movement. Like Sneeko is fake Muslim. Andrew Tate's fake Muslim. They're all fake Muslim. They, like, none of them are actually Muslims. They don't follow any, like, the rules of Islam or anything like that. They basically just do it for the aesthetic and for the, like, being able to have a religious, like, spiritual tie to their hatred of women and stuff like that. Like, I watched the other day a clip on Twitter where oh fuck, can I find it? It's really good. I know it's 2024 internet and everything's lost media now, so I probably can't, but let me see if I can find it. It's so good. Is this it? This might be the clip. I think this is it. This is like an example of this like weird era of like red pill Islam we're in and how best to challenge it.
Right, no, but being gay is a choice. That's a decision.
Literally, there's no place in the world where it's been discovered how to change somebody's sexuality like that. It just doesn't happen.
You want to know how to not do that? Is just don't kiss a guy as a man.
Do you just not have relationships anymore, or?
No, you could have a relationship, but with the correct sex.
Yeah, but if you don't have any sexual attraction towards them, why would you do that?
That's the wrong feeling. That's just an incorrect.
When you say the wrong feeling, what? According to who?
The same reason you tell pedophile that they should stop being attracted to kids. It's like you should have a morality about
Hold on.
that.
Why do you think pedophilia is wrong?
No. Answer. It's a good question.
Yeah,
answer.
I need to make sure you have any idea.
You
Yeah,
la-
tell me.
you
No,
laugh,
wait,
but
make
you
him answer. Yeah,
don't-
don't bail him out. Make him answer. Why is pedophilia wrong, Sneeko?
Yeah.
Because it's not how a relationship. Because God says it's wrong.
That's
No.
that's the
going.
reason why. Hold on, wait. So
okay.
Sneeko, no,
God
wait.
says
This
it's
is so
wrong.
easy. So then Sneeko, so if God tells you that you can fuck kids like he did with Muhammad or whatever, you think that's okay then? That you would change your mind on that tomorrow?
That's not what happened.
No. I'm asking you. If God tells you,
It is what
Sneeko,
happened.
I think that fucking kids is okay, then you would change your mind on it tomorrow.
There has to be a justification for everything.
Oh, hold on.
everything
God
that
has
we
to
do.
didn't say it,
justify
though.
himself? God has to justify it? If you're talking about the need for a justification, then that means something's not good because...
Yeah, so basically, this is more recent, but back when Lauren Chen made this video was the start of like that era of red pill like right-wing content online, going into this bizarre like we love Islamic extremism because Islamic extremists are anti-woke era, and like the red pillars all went like fake Muslim. They all went and visited Mecca. They all went to live in like fucking Dubai because they claim because it's a Muslim majority country, but you know why they went to Dubai. It's because it's a slave nation, opulent, wealthy, all that shit. Anyway, let's resume.
The Taliban are religious.
Oh, also, if you don't know what he was leading into, by the way, with that argument, the Prophet Muhammad, he was told by Allah that he could to marry I believe she was 9 years old, a 9-year-old girl named Aisha. It's like not something that you'll oftentimes hear Muslims talk about, is the fact that the Prophet Muhammad was a pedophile and that their God like encouraged the marrying of a grown man to a 9-year-old girl. It's part of the religion fundamentally. Unless you're like a hyper untraditional reformist Muslim, there's some pretty sussy shit about your religion. I'm just generally anti-religion because whether it's Judaism, Christianity, Islam, the belief system itself is truly demonic and awful and justifies just horrific shit. You guys can cope as much as you want in chat. I'm already seeing the copium. No, I think all religion is pretty equally bad morally. However, pragmatically, in America, Christianity is the most dangerous by far. He married Aisha at 9 and they consummated when she was 12. Big difference. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for the clarification, though.
Just extremists. They do not give a crap.
To be fair, that is how conservatives would like to do it. Married at 9, consummated at like 12. Yeah, that's probably how most conservative men would probably write the laws if they could have completely unfiltered, unmitigated, push back control of how our country operated. Like if Trump could set the age of consent, the like minimum marriage age would be 9, and the minimum age of consent would be 12 if Trump could control it. Come on, we know that's what Trump would make it. If he could like literally control it with no consequences, no pushback, no way of like vetoing him, absolutely that's what he would do.
About human rights. I mean, they are all for murder. They love themselves some child marriage. They are not good dudes. But at the same time, if you are someone who believes that the only reason that the Taliban and other religious fundamentalists, specifically Islamic fundamentalists, hate America and the Western world is because they despise prosperity,
who the fuck only conservatives believe that the Taliban bad because they despise American prosperity. Like, you yourself are admitting they are, like, child-fucking, women-raping, and oppressing monsters, the Taliban, and that the majority of the Muslim world is, like, hyper-oppressive super hell for women and children, young women and, like, young girls, too. It's like, what the... what is this, like, flip-floppy back-and-forth attempt to, like... Is she trying to sugarcoat the Taliban? I can't tell. Is she making a video about the Taliban being bad or a video about the Taliban being good? Because I can't tell between the backhanded compliments, the genuine compliments, and the occasional, like, but they are bad guys. I actually can't tell.
You are not paying attention to the situation. Some of you may not know this, but in university, in addition to studying political science, and yes, I am one of like 5 people with a poli-sci degree who actually works in a field that's even remotely related to poli-sci, but I also studied Arabic and Middle East studies. And the reason I did that, honestly, was because I thought the Middle East was so interesting. I had grown up in Asia, going to America.
Bullshit. You majored or studied anything to do with the Middle East and didn't know that Afghanistan was pretty. This bitch just announced that she thought that Afghanistan was like all rubbly desert as far as the eye could see, like Southern California or some shit, through all of it. Like this woman indicated she didn't know that like there's green in Afghanistan. Afghanistan has temperate forests, like in valleys and stuff. It is quite beautiful. But if you'd like done any type of study for that shit, I feel like you'd know that, right? I know it just from playing Metal Gear Solid 5 and finding like the little ravines and rivers where it was like greener, going up into the mountains where it was greener. Yeah, her image of Afghanistan is a Modern Warfare 2 map. Yeah. The Vietnam of the Middle East. The funny thing is, I called it the Vietnam of the Middle East, and I got canceled by tankies on Twitter because they thought, or I don't think they actually thought this, but they tried to frame it as if I was saying I thought the like environment of Afghanistan is like Vietnam, like saying that like Afghanistan is jungle is what they seem to be pushing, that I thought, to try and make me sound stupid. It was quite funny, but yes. Oh my god, my fucking scroll, look, I literally can't scroll up. I can't do it. My scroll wheel's so broken. I need to replace this mouse. Yeah, like, it is a fair comparison for sure.
American schools. I was living in the US, but Middle East was just a huge part of the world that I had no information about, no knowledge about. It was like a black hole to me, and I wanted to know more. And it's funny, I've previously mentioned on this channel.
Again, Lauren Chen literally called for a crusade after the 2019 Easter attack and dismissed 50 people who died in Christchurch as an anti-gun propaganda psyop. Oh yeah, for those who don't know, Lauren Chen is like a full-on neo-Nazi. Her reaction to Christchurch is she said it was probably a psyop by anti-gun propagandists. You know, in New Zealand, a country where it's like not exactly easy to get a gun.
Channel that I used to be a neocon in college. Well, one of the things that snapped me out of that crazy phase was learning about the Middle East, learning more about their culture, their history, even their language, their religion. Because I think if you are operating under the assumption, like, I mean, let's face it, many Americans, many Westerners in general do, that Middle Easterners are just kind of impoverished and ignorant. And
I think you might be projecting. I'm going to be honest here. I think you might be projecting. Lauren, do you know that algebra is an Arabic word, right? You know that the Middle East, like, invented math, geometry, fit, like, pretty much all of everything that is the basis for all of our math, science, and everything came from, like, Middle Eastern, like, scientists and mathematicians? Like, how can you say that? I don't know. I don't think the majority of Americans even think that. No. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, we also use Arabic numerals instead of Roman numerals, true.
And, then these bad guys who are just a small fringe group come over and oppress them with this ideology that does not represent the majority of the people there. And therefore, we as Americans or Canadians or British, whatever, need to go and liberate them. That is.
Oh, here come the lies. No. The ideas of the Taliban in no way, shape, or form represent the majority beliefs of the people of Afghanistan in this example. God, I do need to find that polling. I know. Let me see if I can find Dylan Burns on video on it.
American bombs and guns aren't the only bombs and guns that can kill people. The Taliban's bombs and guns have killed the vast majority of people in the war in Afghanistan. And when we leave, if that conflict continues, they will continue to be the vast majority killer of the people of Afghanistan. I want to leave. I want to bring my boys home. But we can't do it irresponsibly. And
True. And then here was the data. I think. Is this the data? Is it? Is this when he goes over it? He goes over it at some point in this video. Oh my god, I got an ant on my knuckle. What the fuck? Where'd you come from, little guy? Ugh. I ain't saying anything about this until stream, but the way people have reacted to this is honestly, yep, see? Same thing happened. Same thing happened to Dylan. Same fucking thing. People just can't handle being correct. They can't handle me, Dylan, anyone on the left being correct about this. You have to be lockstep in the, like, here's the popular idea. Right now, you must be in favor of leaving Afghanistan because war is always bad, occupation always bad, no matter who is being occupied against. Now, where the fuck is...
obviously, Dylan doesn't want permanent occupation. He actually wants it to be the 51st state. True. Why not? Let's go for it. It'll be a blast. We'll all enjoy it.
Oh, is this it?
So, let me just say this.
I think this is it.
I do not think Mitch McConnell wants us to stay in Afghanistan because he cares about women's rights. I don't think barely anyone wants us to stay in Afghanistan because of women's rights, right?
I did.
There's a certain section of the Afghani population that would want us to stay in Afghanistan for women's rights, even past peace deal, if you look at the polling. But I don't think that's a large section of the American populace. So let me be clear. I don't think that Mitch McConnell is making, or anybody in the Republican Party, or even a lot of people in the Democratic Party, is going to talk about this under the idea that they care about women's rights. But we cannot dismiss the fact that the Taliban is one of the most sexist organizations in the world and would most certainly, if was able to climb to power, push back all the progress that has been made in Afghanistan when it comes to women getting an education.
I ended up showing this article on my stream. This is the one that brings up the polling. I don't know if he clicks it himself here, but I know I used this article from CNN Politics. However, like, his point stands quite strongly, especially after the fact when the Taliban proceeded to, like... Do you remember the videos of them bringing the female mannequins out into the street and then chopping the heads off and burning them in piles and, like, burning all the women's clothing they were modeling? Because, like, that women's clothing is not allowed anymore, you know? Yeah, that's what she's championing here.
Is the type of belief system that I think does lend itself to supporting things like foreign wars and foreign invasions. But that's really not what is happening in these countries. No, not every person in Afghanistan supports what the Taliban does. However, you would be gravely, gravely mistaken if you think that somehow that means that they are on board with American culture or, again, Western culture in general. Because they certainly are not. And what I find so interesting...
So she's showing us Taliban memes that are against... Okay, yes, they are. By the way, even men in Afghanistan were not in favor of this. You guys know that, right? Even men in Afghanistan weren't in favor of this? Like, there have been tons of men who have, like, given up their degrees in protest of the fact that women are no longer allowed to get an education in Afghanistan now.
Interesting and so fascinating about going through these Taliban memes is that not only are they pretty funny, like whether or not you support the Taliban, come on, funny is funny.
Funny is funny.
But they also do a great job illustrating Western culture's weaknesses due to things like progressivism and feminism. And keep in mind, these memes aren't...
See, look, if the Taliban thinks these are weaknesses of Western society, then surely that must be true. We should really care about the Taliban's opinion on Western society. Like, so she literally sets it up to say, no, they don't just hate Western culture and our ideas and our freedoms, but here's a bunch of memes about how they hate Western culture and our ideas and our freedoms. This woman would have laughed at memes from the actual Nazis? Oh, absolutely. She would have used the same justification. Well, you see, it's funny because it's true.
Promoting things like, hey, let's murder people. Let's do child marriages. Because I think the people who are in charge of the Taliban, they know that those aren't winning positions. So instead, what they're doing is presenting a side of themselves that stands in opposition to the Western world that they know Afghanistan people are more likely to side on them about. I hope that makes sense.
Afghanistan people? You mean Afghans?
In other words, the reason why the Taliban are attacking things like feminism and the American occupation in general in these propaganda memes is that they know those are issues that are winning issues for the people that they are trying to convince in Afghanistan.
What? My God, she thinks the Taliban is trying to use memes to convince people in Afghanistan to support them. No. No. No, they are a dictatorial rule that has taken over the country with guns and force. They don't need propaganda to get people to support their rise to power because their rise of power was already fully unpopular. People were trying to, like, ride on the fucking, like, landing wheels of carrier planes to get out of the country, to get out of Kabul. Like, what? The state-sponsored propaganda videos aren't even for Afghans either. If anything, they're meant to get, like, some popularity with out-of-the-country Afghans that are, like, maybe in America, Canada, outside of the country, and primarily meant to convince people to engage in tourism to Afghanistan, to bring their foreign money to the country and bolster their economy and thus the wealth of the Taliban regime. A lot of this involves, like, restoring historical sites that they themselves bombed and destroyed and trying to, like, make Afghanistan now look more attractive to people to come visit and spend their tourist money. Like, there's no... Does she think that, like, there's freedom? Has she forgotten that they don't have freedom in Afghanistan for you to, like, say, no, I don't want to support the Taliban? Like, the majority of people in Afghanistan don't support the Taliban. That's kind of why they allowed us to occupy them. If the majority of people aren't cool with us occupying them, then we have a real fucking Vietnam situation where we don't even get to be there, you know? Like, we get fucking destroyed just by being there constantly, and it's a massive waste of money and lives.
To let them be in charge. All right, enough rambling from me, though. We're going to get into the actual memes themselves. But first, I want to say a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Keto with Lauren, because...
You guys know I don't take sponsorships, right? Like, I took a sponsorship once for a good water bottle brand that I still use to this day because I actually, like, endorse it. And this was years ago. This has been years and years. I'm not sponsored. Like, I'm not supported through sponsor money. Like, you guys are the ones who support me. And this is the case for most lefty channels. I rarely see left-wing channels that aren't, like, grifty, tanky channels like Second Thought taking sponsorships. So remember, no matter what, these people are going to be making bank off of sponsorships. The average left-wing content creator, it's all grassroots, baby. It's all grassroots.
There's like 0% chance that this video is going to be monetized on YouTube. So I always appreciate our sponsors.
My videos regularly get demonetized. Do you know what I have to do about that? Do you know what my, like, way of dealing with, like, videos getting demonetized is? Upload more so I can afford rent. She has to get a new sponsor so she can afford her next car. God, I fucking hate watching conservative YouTubers complain about money. Like, whenever they, like, do a sponsored segment, it feels like they're complaining about money, and it's like, dog, you're in like a nicer house than I've ever lived in my life. Like, how are you doing a sponsor segment here? Like, you're desperate for money. Like, you need more. Ugh. Anyway, that's pretty much all. If you enjoyed this segment of, Lauren Chen shilling for the Taliban, we didn't even get to the memes because she couldn't fit any of the memes in the first 6 minutes before her fucking sponsored segment. Actually, no, we'll check out some of the memes. Let's just see what some of the memes are ourselves. You people are prejudiced against us. Your culture is discriminatory, biased, homophobic, and a threat to our LGBT community. Yes. Okay, let's see how she reacts to this.
LGBT community, and then again, you just have the Chad Taliban. Yes. Now, on the show, before we've covered the strange affinity.
Reminder, they will murder gay people. That's what she's saying. Haha, so base. They'll murder gay people.
That so many far leftists, progressives, and intersectionalists have for Islam. They see, for some reason, Islam is just this group of poor, oppressed brown people that they need to help because...
Projection. Literally just straw manning. Literally, no, you're just making things up that the left supposedly believes. No, Islamophobia is bad, which is typically a specific targeting of a group of people because of their religion on grounds that are not like, usually it's something like a travel ban or something like that because of risk. People believe that they're at a risk of terrorism. Being Muslim does not make you like a terrorist. It just means you've got like a very fucking backwards, awful religion. I also think Judaism is an awful backwards religion. I'm going to be honest. And so is Christianity. And Christianity is just the one that has the strongest stranglehold on America. If it was any other religion in its place, I'd be shitting on them just as much as I do Christianity. I am a Reddit atheist through and through. The Reddit atheists were right. They will continue to be right. You must have amnesia because you forgot that I'm him. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. Thumbs up really do go a long way, whether it's on a video, a VOD, or whatever it is. It really helps. If you haven't liked already, please consider dropping the thumbs up. It's totally free, and it really does go a long way. And of course, if you haven't already, please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live. Or supporting me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buying merch. All links down below in the description. And of course, if you haven't already, maybe consider, potentially, possibly, maybe, joining my fan Discord. It's totally free. We do a lot of cool fan events in there, so having you in there would be really cool. I like to have a lot of people in there, so potentially join. All links down below in the description. Hope to see you there.